Welcome to We Build Great Apartment Communities, the only show dedicated to the process and strategies for transforming apartment buildings to thriving communities. I am your host, John Brackett, and welcome to the show. All right, folks, welcome to another great episode of We Build Great Apartment Communities, the only place where you come to learn how to take apartment buildings and turn them into amazing communities. So I am your host, John Brackett. Welcome to the show. I have here another great guest. This time, I'm doing something a little different for the audience. I'm bringing in a celebrity.
I'm a celebrity, man.
Yeah, man.
Look at me now.
Dave Seymour from Flipping Boston, man. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, John. How are you, man?
Hey,
I appreciate you having me on.
So, you have a really unique story, and I'm going to share this with our audience. You started off, as a firefighter, 16-year veteran. So not only have you saved lives and improved the lives of people, which is why you're a great fit for the show, right? Because the purpose of this show is to build out great apartment communities, or to build rather great apartment communities, and to improve how people live. So you are no stranger, Dave, to improving how people live, more importantly, saving the lives of people, right? But now you're venturing off, man, doing some really, really cool things in the apartment world and the world of syndications. So really want to unpack that, ask you some questions about that, see how you're evolving and moving forward in a market like this. And we're going to talk about some of the misconceptions out there, Dave, that you're going to make true, right?
Okay.
All right, man. So let's do this.
Whatever you got, man. You throw me a fastball, curveball, or as we say back in England, you can throw me a wicked googly, which is a cricket term. I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever you got, John. Bring it on.
I love it. The wicked googly, man, is a slider.
Yeah. That's it.
It's a slider. All right. So, hey, bud, share your story, Dave. I mean, we have a lot of great folks that listen to the show, right? A really unique audience. Share your story.
I look back at it. If you'd have told me 35, 40 years ago that I'd be doing a podcast with you 35, 40 years later with our joint experiences, aligned kind of missions in a way. I mean, we kind of just met, but we've done our own research on each other. But I believe in the law of attraction, and what you think about, you bring about, right? There's an energy in the universe. I just listened to a quick blurb, and the guy was saying, congratulations, everybody has an attitude. Right? And you all carry your own attitude around, and it either inspires or infects you or other people.
One. I really like that. Right? I really like that.
Yeah, I don't have any original ideas. But anyway, my story it's mine, man. I'm an immigrant to the States. Don't tell anyone. Okay, It's a secret, right?
Yeah.
My Lord, the society in which we live, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm an immigrant to the States. I came from England, which is why I can tell the cricket jokes. And I came here, lived in different parts of the country. I went from London, England, to Shadyside, Ohio, and Wheeling, West Virginia, in the middle of the Rust Belt. So I was a little bit of an alien in an alien nation. But anyway, I moved up to New England and got that government job, man. I mean, firefighter, paramedic. Yeah. It's funny. I come from a really blue class background. My dad was heating and air conditioning. My mom worked in a bank. I'm not a Harvard or Yale graduate. I don't have a multitude of degrees hanging on my wall. Everything I've learned from feet on the street. For real. That's just who I am. And I get that good government job. But what I didn't have was any financial literacy. And I didn't understand money. I didn't understand how it worked. In America, they got this beautiful thing called credit cards, and you can spend more money than you earn, which amazed my old man.
A lot of people know, most of the folks here in the United States, man, we understand how credit cards work, right?
Yeah,
in fact, right now we're on borrowed credit in our economy. We're running
don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Go to usdebtclock.org. If you want a Halloween scare, go there. All right?
That's good. That's good.
That's it, man. That's it. Yeah. I failed miserably in finance, brother. I'd refinanced my house about 3 times, I think, in 18 months. In 2006, going into 7, because everybody said that real estate only goes up. It never goes down.
Right.
I was a financial donkey. And I find myself at 36 years old, somewhere around there. My house is in pre-foreclosure. I got $70,000 in unsecured debt. I'm working 120 hours a week. Fire department. I ran a construction company on my days off. And I still had to work nights and weekends. And I'm like, this American dream is a freaking American nightmare. I mean, cost me a marriage, almost cost me a relationship with my now oldest boy, Robert, 25 years old. And I had to do something different. And I'm a man of faith. I'm not necessarily a man of any organized religions, but I believe that ego stands for ease God out, EGO, you know.
Interesting.
I'm losing it, dude. I'm not in a good space. And I'm screaming and shouting at my God. What did I do wrong? I didn't lie, didn't cheat, didn't steal. Come on, dude. Hook it up. Will you tell me what next? And it's crazy, John. It really is, because a commercial came on the radio. Teach Me Foreclosure, a free 1.5 real estate seminar coming to your neck of the woods, right?
Interesting.
And I'm like, all right, those that seek shall find. I'm screaming and shouting. I see a message. I took it. And I went to a real estate education class, and I went to another one. And I took my now wife. I was divorced, and I was dating my now wife, Mary Beth, actually a labor and delivery nurse, and I was a paramedic. We met in a labor and delivery room delivering another woman's
How
baby.
classic is that, man?
Yeah, right. It's not a romantic environment to fall in love, trust me. But Mary Beth and I went to that class, and I was a beaten man. I was a beaten man because of the mistakes that I'd made. And I heard a gentleman tell me that I had two choices in life. And he said, I can follow the plan that's been laid out for me. He said, or I can do one of two things. He said, I can learn to work for money. He said, and trade 1 hour for X amount of dollars for somebody else. He said, that's the American way. That's what we're taught. Go to school, get an education, go out and get a job. He said, and you can trade your time for money. He said, or maybe it might be something for you to look at and learn how to have money work for you. He said, because capital has no value. It's a tool. And there is a very small elite group of people in this country and world who know how to use money as a tool and not as something that you hold on to. He said to me, Dave, you got to learn how to let it go free so it can come back with 2 or 3.
Yeah. So, Dave, I love what you said so much. So a really good friend of mine, he said this to me when I was much younger, and it took some time for this to sink in, right? But he said, John, you cannot get wealthy saving money.
Correct.
Okay? When he first said that, I was completely confused. Completely confused.
Yeah.
Now, a year or two went by. That comment started to come into shape, right? I started to understand what he was talking about. Now I completely understand it. And of course, he's someone that really good friend of mine, older than I am, in his mid 70s, owns about 3 million square feet of commercial real estate throughout the nation. So just very sharp dude, right? Very sharp dude. So when he said that, man, I tend to listen to what he says. And I'm really glad that eventually I understood his comment, the meaning behind it. The point there being is we have to deploy money into investments. We have to take cash for it to actually work for us, right? We have to deploy it into investments that will produce a return, right? Over and above what our standard is, so that we can actually not only enjoy life, but do it again. And that was the premise. So, man, please go ahead and share. I really love that.
No, dude, look, I love finding my people, right? Well, here we are, a couple of dudes. There's a transmission line, okay? And the transmission lines of the entrepreneur, and especially us in real estate, you said we have maybe an hour. I already know that you and I could go for 8 hours.
Oh, easy.
Still be on game. And we're like 20 minutes into our time together.
Easy.
But I learned a couple of things there. One thing is if you're the smartest person in the room, you used to say to me, you're in the wrong room.
Yes.
And you just told me that, right? I want to be around a guy that's achieved what I want to achieve. But how do I bring that person value, right? Because we always think the most valuable thing is money. It's not. It's deployable knowledge is the most valuable thing there is. Just because you know something doesn't mean that it's valuable, okay? Knowledge is power when deployed, when implemented, right? Implementation is the key to salvation. It's not, how many smart people do you know who are broke as a joke, is what this guy said to me.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, I get it. He said, it's not just knowledge. It's, do you have the chutzpah? Do you have the gumption? Do you have the huevos to get in the game and go for it? He said, when you see an opportunity, he said, will you overthink it? Will you overanalyze it? Do you have analysis paralysis? He said to me. He said, some people just love to learn and learn and learn and learn, and they just swim in knowledge and spreadsheets and all of this stuff. He said, and all they're doing is giving themselves
I like the graphics. I like the graphics.
I'm a visual guy too. But they swim in that stuff. That's their badge of honor. And yet their bank account doesn't represent what they're really looking for. And it's not even the bank account, John. It's the value of the time that we get to spend with the people that we love.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, let me unpack some of this, man, for audience, okay? Because there was so much that you added there. And one of the things that I love about what you said, because very transparent, right? You said, hey, John, man, look, I was a beaten man. I was a beaten man. That stood out to me. Well, here's the crazy thing, Dave. We're in a market right now, man, where we have a lot of people that are hurting, that are scared, that are trying to figure out what the next move is, right?
Sure.
The next move is. And a lot of people right now are feeling beaten. And I think a lot of this currently is being driven by the fact that for nearly 6 months, we were essentially driven to seclusion, literally. All right, stay inside, don't go out. And I think that has created some problems now that, we're starting to get exposed to. But the point there being is we have a lot of people out there, man, that are feeling beaten, that are feeling defeated. Okay. What was it and how did you move yourself out of that place? Because we have a lot of people right now, Dave, that need to hear that message, man.
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, man, and I don't want to get too out of there or cosmos with this stuff. I know what a true life and death scenario is like, right?
Right.
I've been in structural fires where my environment changes in seconds. I've been in positions where my heart rate just takes over. My adrenaline takes over. My fear. All right, let's just call it what it is. Right. A nasty 4-letter word, fear. And I learned a long time ago that fear tends to represent itself as false evidence appearing real. Okay. If you are living every minute of your day hooked on to Fox, CNN, CNBC, or some other news media, if you just listen and are hypersensitive to the word COVID every second of every day, then you know what the universe says to you? Oh, fear? Yeah, I'm going to give you some more of that. Right. And you begin to program subconsciously yourself to be fearful, to be in fear, to have a lack of motion, right? You're not at ease. You have dis-ease, and we become sick mentally, physically, and spiritually, okay? Right. So we are God-given creatures that have a choice, my friend.
I like it.
We have a choice. You can flip fear the bird if you choose to. And how do you do it? So how do I get in and out of burning buildings? Through repetition, through training, through practice, through faith, right? Faith in my brothers and sisters standing next to me that they're not going to let me die today.
Yeah.
For me, I carry a vision in my head, and I do this in my business today, which is a high-level business, but I carry a vision of I am locking arms with my partners, my managers, and I lock arms with my investors, and we go, baby, go.
I like it.
And I'll lead the charge, right? Because I never, ever have asked anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself. So you do have a choice. I've been broke as a joke, man. I've been to the grocery store with coins trying to buy just fruit and vegetables because that's all I've got. And I've also spent, I think it was $650 on a steak, one steak in Las Vegas at a business meeting one time. So I've been on both ends of the scale. But here's the thing, it's emotion. You see, I get elevated, dude, because I'm communicating with people who understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It excites me. I don't need to be in the same room as you, bro. We're already right there. And I am now, my emotion is elevated because I am now having energy in motion. I got to move. And I can move forward on a Zoom call, just like I can move forward when I was talking in front of 16,000 people at a Tony Robbins event in Canada, right? It's the same energy. It's here. Can you hear that?
I can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear it. So
that's how I look at it.
I love it, man. I really love it. So the key there, you said something that I find really, really valuable, right? For our listeners out there, man, who feel distressed, beaten, right? I really like how you use that term that, hey, look, we always have on the other side of fear is a greater possibility. Yes. And oftentimes it just takes a willingness for us to be able to literally pursue what's on the other side of that, right?
Yes.
Because what's on the other side of that is a new, usually a massive possibility, but it's having the courage now to move through that place. Okay,
sure.
So with that said, here's the other side of that. Okay, here's the other side of that. You have a lot of people out there who are saying, hey, I get it. I'm willing to make a decision to move forward. I'm willing to do that, but I don't know how. And that's a real thing, right?
Yes.
The real issue. You have a lot of people that are willing out there, but are looking for a new possibility, want to see it, but they don't know what that first step needs to look like.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that. What was your first step in this business? Man, what did that look like? How did you get into investing in apartment buildings? What did that first step look like?
So watch this. You used the word a couple of times there in your past few sentences. How? How do I move forward? How do I start? How do I do this? How do I get into this? How?
Right.
How is an acronym, brother, and it stands for HOW, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That's what it stands for.
Nice.
And the honesty component is for people to be honest with only themselves and nobody else.
Got to start with the truth, huh, Dave?
Right? To thine own self be true. And it usually comes at 3:00 in the morning when you wake up and nobody else is around. And this is what I did, man. I went through these actions. I really did. I'd wake up with fear, doubt, and insecurity, ungrounded and unfounded fear most of the time, right? It was in my DNA. And I'd look in a mirror and I'd say, what are you really scared about? What is the worst case scenario? What really is it? And what can I honestly do about it to change it? And am I open-minded enough to new information in? Take your pride and your ego and stick it where the sun don't shine. I don't care about what you've done, because what you've done has led you to the point where you're standing there asking for help. Be open-minded enough to receive new information. Be a vessel. Seek and you shall find, right?
I like it.
And then W is willingness. Willingness. Be willing. Just know that you can if you try, and know that somebody else has already done what you wanted to do. So that's what I did. I sought people who had been where I wanted to go, and I found a way to align myself with them. So if you're beaten and if you're scared, I get it. Now, how long do you want to stay there? That's up to you.
Right.
Because I'm not beaten and I'm not scared. Neither is my team. Neither are my investors. Neither are right? We're in motion moving forward. So I started by getting educated, single families. I did a wholesale deal, made $5,000. I thought I was going to jail. It felt so illegal, right? Then I did a flip. I did another flip and another flip. And then all of a sudden I got a TV camera in my face every day. And now I'm on national TV. I'm the star of A&E's Flipping Boston. I'm on CNBC. I'm on Fox News. I'm on do the Today Show 4 times. I'm on Rachel Ray. And I'm like, how the heck did this all happen?
But Dave, check this out. So that is a perfect example on what's on the other side of fear.
Yes.
If we're willing to move to that place, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
Look, here's the thing, John, it's so finite, right? It's not like wishy-washy throwing it out there and seeing what happens. It's a mission. It's a passion. It's a belief. I used to go to bed every single night listening to The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, The Law of Attraction, right? Fantastic book. Reset this stupid mind of mine in a heartbeat. But I'd fall asleep every single night with these earpieces in. No, didn't have earpieces then, headphones on. And I would listen to the meditation. And this meditation would work me to a place where I got up every morning with some gratitude. Yeah. You know the people in your life, right? You say to them, how you doing? And they go, oh, same old, another day. Another dollar. Yeah. They're just soul suckers, man, right? God bless them. I love them. And then I got to move on, right? Yeah. I seek my own kind. And I reset myself on a personal development level. And after that, anything was possible. Anything is possible. TV shows, standing on stages, being an educator, teaching in England, teaching in Canada, teaching all over this country. Sticks and bricks are sticks and bricks. Personal development is the foundation for everything.
Okay, cool. So let's move into now your very first investment deal, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about now your very first apartment building, just to set the frame for this for audience. We came from a place of fear, right? Anxiety, feeling beaten. Okay. You made a choice, Dave, and that choice was, I want to know what in the world is on the other side of that fear. Yeah. Okay. I'm willing to pursue the possibility on the other side of that fear at all costs. And my vehicle for doing that is personal development. Yeah. Well, now that I understand that I have it in me to be able to get to that place, right, and create success for myself, my family, and those around me, You then elevated yourself by taking another step forward, which was in the multifamily space, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So talk about that first investment, man.
Yeah.
Okay. The first apartment building that you purchased. What was going on in your head? What was the success story behind that? Tell us the story, man.
Sure. It's interesting because from seeds grow great oak trees.
That's right.
So I'm going to answer it direct. My very first was a no money down 2-unit apartment complex. All right. I still call it an apartment complex. It was a duplex, right?
Yeah.
I had gone to a real estate investment club meeting. I'd stood up, done some presentation, done the best I could to sound like I knew what the heck I was doing. And there was a young guy in the audience there who heard me do my elevator pitch type thing. And he said to me, "I like you, man." He said, "I don't know why." He said, "But I've got money. I just don't have any time." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a firefighter in the city of Lynn. I know Lynn where I worked." I said, "I know that city inside out, back to front. We got 2 fams, 3s, 4s, 6s, 10s, 12s." I said, "You finance them. I'll manage them. I'll find them. I'll underwrite them. I'll fix them. What do you say?" He said, "Done." And that was our first one. It was a 2-family property. And I learned property management the hard way because it was in a city. It wasn't the nicer neighborhoods that I invest in today in Florida.
Sure.
I mean, this was C minus properties. They weren't quite Ds. But I worked in an inner city environment, man. It was like I didn't have fear around the tenancy there. Like I knew how to relate. I knew how to treat people well, right? No matter who they were or where they were from. I knew that every human being had a decent spirit. You give them clean, decent, affordable housing. And when their toilet doesn't work, you fix it fast.
Right.
When their sinks are shitty, you fix them fast. You know, it's kind of like I broke my bones in that environment. And the beautiful thing of it is that I think it was maybe a year and a half later, we sold that duplex and I walked away with, I think it was around $50,000.
Nice.
And I was earning $80,000 a year as a firefighter. And I made 50 grand on that one deal. And I'm like, I want more of this.
Yeah.
And from then I've had portfolios personally and locally up to about 120 doors. And we've now transitioned today. And look, every building is a business model itself. Every building that you buy is its own business.
Right.
And, you know, I've learned a lot of the nuances along the way from really having phenomenal property management. Because if your property managers don't know the game, if they don't have the systems, if they don't appreciate what your philosophies are for that community, they're going to kill not only the community sense and feel, right, of belonging, but they're going to kill the cash flow and everything else. So I learned the power of property management and then also the power of construction, right? Can you raise rent and have somebody say thank you? How do you like them apples? Then yeah, you can. You can. You do it through the law of reciprocity. A new appliance, a painted accent wall, make the common areas beautiful. And people are like, oh my God, these new property managers, these people are awesome. Yeah. So when you come around for a lease up, 12 months, 18 months, however you got it lined out, you're there with a little bit of a rent increase. And they're like, no, I love it here. I want to stay here. So we've escalated that game today to be in a position where we're raising $100 million and putting that capital to work in the Gulf Coast region of Florida, buying large apartment complexes with investor capital and then first lien position with our finance relationship. So this thing's gone on a pretty dynamic journey, if you will, from that first twoplex, a little two-fan all those years ago.
Well, hey, man, awesome story. I really, really love that. So, Dave, what was the big takeaway from that, right? When you look back on that transition that you made to real estate and now to a larger apartment building, sounds like you put a fund together. Okay, what was the greatest lesson learned for our audience?
It's a great question, too. Here's what it is. Wealth creation and real estate investing is not an event. It's a journey. It really is. It's not an event, brother. It's a journey. Look, man, I'm going to be direct, trial and error. Look, I'm very proud to say I have never in my career lost one dime of investor capital, and I have never missed one distribution or interest payment owed. However, I've lost a little bit of my own money here and there on the way, right? I'm not squeaky clean. I'm not perfect. But the journey has been enlightening for me. And look, if I can pat myself on the back, I will, in the sense of my knowledge base, my team, and the fact that we execute and deploy is more valuable than anything you'll ever see in any investment opportunity out there. And I say that with sincerity and not ego, because the way that we operate, I can, with confidence, talk about targeted 10 to 14% quarterly distributions to my investors. I can talk with confidence about 20% plus internal rates of return for the time that their capital is working with us over a 5-6 year period of time. I can talk with confidence on knowing that a 75-25% distribution at time of liquidation of the assets in a fund puts my investors in a beautiful position. The more money they put in, the more money they make, targeted on the exit strategy. The takeaway is I didn't read that in a book one day and be a manager 30 days later. And I think some people believe that, think about our collegiate experiences, right? You go to school from grade whatever. I went to school in English, so we didn't have grades, but you go to school till, what is it, 10th grade or 11th grade? Is that when you get out of high school? I don't know.
12th grade.
I knew I was close. All right, yeah. 12th grade, right? You go to 12th, and then you leave there and you go to college for 4, and then you can do some really, really expensive education if you want to, right? And you can have degrees coming out of every orifice of your body if you want to.
Pretty much.
Cover the whole wall with degrees. How much time does that take? Well, as fund managers, we've already gone to the Harvard and Yale type experiences of learning commercial real estate at the highest level possible. Our underwriting alone is a proprietary method that we've fine-tuned over 30 years of investing. It's not just a spreadsheet that you download from the internet and go, okay, I'm all good now. I can run cap rates and I can run my cash on cash, my cap rate, my debt coverage ratios. I'm styling. I'm good. Let's go raise some money. It doesn't work that way. So that's the takeaway, is that just realizing that it is a journey. It's not an event. It takes commitment, man. It takes commitment and courage. And some people will just buy somebody else's experience. And let's think about that for a second, John. That's what an investor does when they invest with guys like us. They buy our experience.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do it.
They're paying for it.
Yeah, you can do it. I see that it works. Have you done it before? Okay, that looks good. That makes sense. Your presentation's good. I bring the extra credibility piece, if you will, from the national TV exposure, which is, I earned that as well.
Right.
But it seems to be, there's not resistance, right? If something is full of resistance, I'm not interested in it. I don't want to push a donkey up a hill. That's not my business model, right? That's just way too much work. I want people who are excited at the opportunity of getting those kinds of returns and bringing value to a marketplace that's going to need it even more as COVID continues to unpack itself.
Okay, beautiful. So Dave, that is a great segue, right? As COVID continues to unpack itself. So before the show, you and I talked really briefly about some of the hemorrhaging you're starting to see right now.
Sure.
Okay. And what the media purports out there in the marketplace, usually different from the folks that are actually doing business in the market, right? And everybody, well, I don't want to say everybody knows that. That's a false statement. But perception is reality, okay, for most people. Perception is reality. So what we're going to do, Dave, is we're going to give our audience a really good, not even a bird's eye view, man. I'm going to call it a trench view, right? Sure. Folks that are in the trenches that are actually seeing what's really taking shape, in the trenches, out there on the ground, in the real world, not bird's eye view from social media or from a news channel, right? So talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there in the marketplace.
Yeah. So look, Freedom Venture Investments, our fund, right, invests in multifamily assets in the Gulf Coast region of Florida. We don't just buy one like a syndicated deal. We'll buy everything that meets our buy box as long as we got the capital stack to support it from our investor pool. So my partner, Walter Novicki, is ex-military, special forces guy, detail, right? Detail driven. And Walter had been investing since 1986, about 25 years in the Gulf Coast region of syndicating apartment complexes. So a group of investors come in, they buy one, they reposition it, they sell it, they make money, they move on, they buy another one.
Right.
So Walter and I started looking at the market down there and said, well, what is COVID going to do? Well, COVID is going to create a crisis, not only for apartment owners, but it's also going to create a crisis for single family owners in forbearance and job loss, et cetera, et cetera. So as that unpacks itself, the need for apartment housing is going to go up. It's just statistically will go up. So supply and demand. What is the product? Well, it's clean, decent, affordable apartment houses for people who lose their single family residences, mostly FHA. So the FHA homeowner, as you know, is that 150 to 250 price point. They are right now nationwide in about a 25% delinquency on FHA mortgages. So that's going to bring us tenants into the marketplace. And then the mom and pop investors, we call them, the amateur investors who bought that 50 to 150 apartment complex because they were told that real estate is the only way to go to create retirement and generational wealth. Well, they were right. But the person who told them that didn't tell them that you have to know what the heck you're doing to create and maintain long-term generational and retirement wealth. It's not just, oh, I buy it and it's all over. So these folks have been operating on really, really thin margins.
You mean you have to work, Dave?
You have to know what you're doing, right? You don't have to work, but somebody does, right?
Oh, I have to work, man. There's no such thing.
So do I. But we love what we do, right?
Because what you're saying is really important.
Because they're now in a distress scenario. Now, how can I back that up? To your point, at the granular level of feet on the street trench view, we have in our acquisitions team zero, and I mean zero outbound marketing. We do not market for deals. We are getting approximately 20 a week that meet our first look buying criteria. They're coming into us. So 20 different assets every week are coming to us saying, will you buy me? Now, some of them are off the charts silly. The numbers make absolutely no sense. So out of that 20, we'll start delving into about 8 to 10 of them and put them through an underwriting process. Once we go through that 8 to 10 of underwriting, out of that, there's maybe one or two that we say, yeah, that's one that we would bring into the fund once we get through the due diligence process. And we're making offers on about one or two a week, going into due diligence with it, and then lining them up to come into the fund. So what does that tell us? You know what amazes me, though? There's no real solid real estate information that really comes through. You look at Squawk Box, CNBC, or any of that. You listen to Jim Cramer and Mad Money. Those guys got no idea what we do, brother. They got no idea. They might as well be in kindergarten while we're graduating the Yale and the Harvards of real estate, right?
I get it.
And yet they're the ones with the loudest voices out there. And they're clueless. God bless them. Mad Money, let me show you smart money. It's called real estate, right? So we are not seeing the need for outbound, which means if the inbound is going in, we are now in a distressed commercial marketplace.
I like that.
Okay, period. End of conversation. I don't need to debate it anymore. So we're buying as many of those as we can.
Simple math, right, man? Simple math.
Simple math. It is. Guy said to me one time, real estate was, what did he say? 2 things you need to know in real estate: how to do 5th grade math and sign your name.
Yeah.
He said. And I'm like, really? Is that it? Obviously, there was a lot more to it, but the mathematics is lined up. There is trillions, and I mean that sincerely, trillions of dollars of dry powder on the sidelines right now. Investors are, look, man, the bond market, JP Morgan just came out with a study recently that I think it was $31 trillion of bond market investments are set up for negative yield right now, meaning that the rate that they earn money is lower than the rate of inflation, and yet uneducated investors are out there still thinking that I'm just going to go in bonds, I'll be fine. But it's tax-free distribution. Mm-hmm. Whereas we offer them double-digit returns if they do it in their self-directed retirement accounts or solo 401ks. We educate them on that. Well, you can get tax-free distribution that way as well. Oh, by the way, and get double-digit returns targeted in your retirement accounts along the way. Yeah. So the landscape is prime. And the folks who just begin to hear these whispers from guys like us, well, it's going to take them 4 months to ramp up. Well, we're already 4 months ahead of you. We've already taken the cream of the crop out of the marketplace. So I think the definition of luck, right, is when opportunity meets preparedness.
Preparation. Right? Yeah, I totally agree, man. Hey, Dave, I really appreciate you sharing that, right? Because there's a perception out there that the hemorrhaging is not taking shape or it's not happening, right? And a lot of that, I really can see this now as a result of media, but it also has to do with a lot of isolation, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to actually reach out and connect with people that are in the trenches, man.
Yeah.
Because the trenches will always tell you, Dave, a different story, right?
Yeah.
A different story. So, hey, buddy, I am really excited that we had an opportunity to connect, especially on this show. Dave, you've been a tremendous guest. Awesome content, awesome information, some real nuggets there. And I really like this conversation predominantly because we talk about the importance of overcoming fear.
Sure.
Right. But using one of the vehicles for doing that, which is learning. So, hey, once you overcome fear, let's take action. Okay, once we clear on the fact that we need to step forward and take action and be willing, as you put it, to get to the other side of that fear, now we venture into the new possibility, right?
Sure.
And nothing is possible, man, unless we're willing to chase down what's on the other side of that fear, which is why I love endurance sports, because it puts you in a position where you have to chase it down, right?
Yeah,
you have to get to the other side, man. You have to get to the other side. I really appreciate, man, that you came on. You've been a tremendous guest. And we're at the end of our show. Before, Dave, we asked you to share how people can get in touch with you. What is the one question that you have for me that you feel can add value to our audience, man? I've been asking you questions for 40 minutes. So what is the one question that you have for me that you can feel can add some value?
It's always an opening question is, what can I do for you, right? So you know your needs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows what we need more than ourselves. So whenever I'm asked that, I kind of always bounce it back. I love this conversation. I always say to people, if we ended this conversation, what would be an absolute win for you? And then you tell me what that is, man. And if it's in my power to do it, I'll do it. It's as simple as that.
Hey, man, I really, really appreciate that. That is a very unique approach to building lifelong friendships, right? So what I need the most, Dave, is aligning myself with extraordinary people. Not good, not average, not, hey, pretty good, but extraordinary people, right?
Yeah.
Because I've learned, man, when I do that, it's a game changer for life. Not for doing business, just for life in general, right? So aligning ourselves, man, with each other is a game-changing opportunity to create extraordinary opportunities. So really just extraordinary friendships with you and two other people that you think fall in that category. Dave, I am very open to having that conversation, man.
It's called the rule of five. The 5 people you hang around with the most, you become the common denominator of their financial, their spiritual, their emotional, and their executional, man. For sure.
Love it, man.
For sure. I got it. You're in.
I appreciate that, man. I love that. Boom. So Dave, how do people get in touch with you? If they want to learn more about what you do, how you do it, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
I think you can see that up there. That's my little backdrop right there that we had put in recently. Yeah, freedomventure.com, info/freedomventure.com. If you jump on there, at the bottom of the front page, there's a download, Secrets Behind Multifamily Investing. It's an ebook that we put together. If you're in the Boston market, we do live investor luncheons at a local steakhouse. You can find some information there. We also do those presentations down in the Tampa market as well at a local steakhouse. We work with accredited investors. But here's the thing, man. I respond. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of people that research what we do. We're aggressive. We're in motion. We're not sitting still. And I think energy begets energy, and people get swept up into what's positive, just like we did on this Zoom call, man.
Right.
I know I got a new friend. I knew that in 10 minutes of talking to you, bro. Straight up.
I love it, man.
So I want to be friends. I want to educate people first so the expectations are solid. So Freedom Venture Investments, freedomventure.com. Google me. There's a website called Google, I think. If you just punch my name in there, you'll be able to find me there. Dave Seymour, Seymour.
Classic.
So yeah, I'm here.
All right, buddy. Dave, you've been a tremendous guest, man. Very excited that we had this conversation and to share your wisdom, your experiences, man, and your light to our audience so that, again, we can improve how people live, right? So appreciate you, brother. I wish you continued success, and I'll talk to you soon.
And
man.
you. Take care.
Clarity of purpose creates our greatest competitive advantage. When we transform apartment buildings to thriving communities, we improve how people live and create assets with high profit margins. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this up with a friend. I'm John Brackett, bringing you things you can implement right away.